Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And obviously, it's been a really long time since we've gotten a new battleground. So in today's video, I wanted to show you my concept or idea for a possible new dragon riding battleground. We got a dragon riding dungeon and a dragon riding raid, and I feel like a dragon riding battleground would be an absolutely spectacular addition, given how popular dragon riding is in its baseline. And I think that it needs to be done for really Dragonflight to be fully fleshed out. So this concept is going to be based around trying to earn the dragon's favor between the Alliance and the Horde. They're looking for their blessings so they can buff up their armies and empower them, very similar to back in the day where you'd see the Onyxia World Raid buff and stuff like that. So the main objective of this battleground is going to be to bring eggs from the center field into your base, and at the end of the elapsed time, whether the Horde or Alliance has collected more eggs, they will earn the dragon's favor and win the battleground. So the way that that's going to look is that there's basically going to be 3 little islands in the middle, and these will have eggs on them that you can collect and then bring back to your base. So 3 little major islands that will be displaced throughout this. As soon as I can figure out how to control C, I can't even use paint correctly apparently, so this is a bit embarrassing. 3 islands in the middle, and as we move forward, so you can choose whether or not you want to go to the top one, middle one, or the bottom one to collect your eggs. So splitting up the group into smaller kind of skirmishes rather than having like a giant, cluster of people, as I've seen that as major feedback for battlegrounds in the past. You're obviously going to have your main faction bases on each side, on the left and the right, or the east and the west, or whatever you want to say. And then what would be basically is a kind of chasm in the middle. These would be islands, obviously, in 2D shapes. So this would basically be a chasm throughout the center, duplicated onto both sides. And you would have 2 turrets that each team can kind of combat for on the north and the south side. And the main thing that these turrets would do is similar to the Net-O-Matic, which is they would dismount a flying mount, because obviously Horde and Alliance, they're going to start in their base. They're going to fly. They're going to pick an island to go to that have eggs on them. They're going to try and click the eggs with the cast time to collect the egg, and they have to mount up, and they have to fly back to their base and drop it off. Now, some players can choose to go into the turret and dismount enemy flyers before they get back to the base, which would give them a debuff. They would fall to the ground. Perhaps we could introduce an item with like a parachute or something. Or maybe they just fall to their death, and then somebody can swoop in and pick up their egg and take it back to their base, something of the like. So you'd have some people trying to fight for control of the turrets to shoot down the enemy fighters as they're coming into the islands and out of the islands to stop them from coming through. And then obviously the main bases, you could possibly even go into the main faction bases, steal the eggs from their base while they're not noticing, and bring them back into yours to reduce their count overall. And this was kind of just like the base concept. Whether or not there'd be like a cap on how many eggs, and we'd probably have like a graveyard or something. Do we have like a half of a semicircle or something? Put like a graveyard on each north and southwest corner, basically, for people to res at, so that they're flying in and they can get shot down from the opposing side. So maybe you'd want to control this one if you were this base, because they're going to res and run in this way. Control this one because they're going to res and run in this way mostly. Graveyards on each corner. This would just be land. And you could put line of sight objects in it. Obviously, it can get a little bit more complicated than what I have described here, but the main goal for this battleground was to be dragon riding as the main focus, which incorporates all of the things that are awesome about it, which is aerial combat, dismounting enemy players, which is super satisfying fun in world PvP, with the addition of turrets on top of that to try and bring players down, spreading players out into small skirmish groups on the center islands, and then maybe splinter players like rogues trying to pick off people as they're going into the base, or just infiltrating, stealing their eggs and bringing them back to their base, as opposed to fighting in the middle for the control of these eggs. And this was kind of my basic concept for it. I wanted it to be completely different. I feel like we've got a lot of clones, a lot of Arathi Basin clones, a lot of Capture the Flag clones, and I feel like this is a completely different concept, while still incorporating and staying true to the essence of dragon riding as the main focus of the battleground. And obviously the lore and the narrative of the battleground probably open up for debate. I didn't really focus too much on it, but earning the dragon's favors, returning the eggs from the primalists, and whichever faction has returned the most eggs is obviously going to get the favor and have their armies bolstered by the dragon's blessing and boon. And that was kind of the main focus and main concept. For this, just wanted to share with you guys. Let me know what you think of this in the comments down below, if this seems like a decent idea or if I'm totally off base with this. But I personally would want to play this battleground. That when I was thinking about this concept and trying to design this concept, it's something that I would want to play, with how many different layers that it's got and the way the combat's going to be split up, as opposed to just giant clusters of every player all on top of each other where you can't really do anything or move. Knockbacks and dismounting people would be super fun and awesome, incorporating the best elements that we've got from world PvP events that I've experienced, all nestled into one concept and one idea. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.